A very good morning to our viewers all across the world. Welcome to your Poetic Interlude on the Weekend Show, a segment where we bring to you the best in spoken word poetry. And my name is Emeka Ozurumba. And today on the show, I'm going to be reciting a piece I title A Catastrophe. If you swim in the templates of ignorance, you can only be oblivious in the pool of his prognosis. And if you hear the howlings of such timidity, the ramblings of his raucous razzmatazz, you cannot become deaf like a stiff-necked sillet that is in a transitional ray from the speed of light. What are two ossicles to a brainwashed medulla when the cerebral hemisphere was lobotomized? What are coals that chow our thumbs, vesting our poles on cankerworms? Why is a social welfare fund now living with fishes? A triangle as the Bermuda is now our fixative. For years now, we live in stagnation and retrogresses. There's a holocaust of jaundice and glaucoma. There's an osteoporosis of poverty and starvation. The malignant of what had tentacles became a boisterous blister, a storm that brewed into a fire that smoldered invincible to the balance of justification and the bedeviled contour, watching hungry children blaze down like an evaporating wildfire that eats grasses and absorbs their biological composition. A violent sea of ionized embroideries extinguished, and soon is scorched to the fiasco of 100 degrees in this our perilous society. We feel like we're getting burnt, with the eye sockets of hungry children falling out, pale from the assertions of uncaring governance, with their banners of corruption and its cronies, distributed into orbital farmlands for the anguish in the frontier for the Siamese twins of death and destruction, siphoning jaws to abracadabra our social equity, the landmine of a repulsive farrago. And you tell the hungry to ester for an edible catalyst of potassium, corrosive in the senile with severe rhoticea spangled and mangled. And some are culfer scalp scalds, walking with the rigs of snails to eternity. And our society has no social investment. Handicapped schools, the roof of our public schools are leaking with the waters from heaven, and the pupils are drenched and waterlogged with their posterity devoured by vermin and paramour rodents. In vertigo soon, we are trekking to salvation, and you tell us eat nitrogen as if nitrogen is edible, with frostbites and hunger, trekking further into hunger. And the blind sees not the obese corpse of our society floating, sackcloths with overtures as puppets, crumbled with the preamble of penury, and soon acid will be poured in the immortal eyes. And it was fire raging and everyone moping. No one wanted to take responsibility. Not even them that call themselves judges, not even them that call themselves legislators, not even their sinister ministers. And buildings without foundations are easily deceased. The anguish of a suffocated people, ramshackled from the prejudice of misgovernance, judicial in the judicature of the jam-locked. Peace is kept imprisoned, unity is kept imprisoned, love is kept imprisoned, and the wealth of the people are incarcerated and lacerated as a fugitive of simians of suppressive surrogacy. A black rainbow in turgid clouds, prickled in the invisibility of draped shards of a dark nimbus. The judge will need an envelope to judge the case well, and it was unwell. For the litigant, it was murder well. It was all verdicts dependent on bribes, craving the crumbs of this ether, covering the guilty with immunity and carapace shells. Injustice prevails in the rivers of tears. My lovely audience all across the world, this was my spoken word piece titled A Catastrophe, and it talks about a catastrophe of mess we find ourselves as a society, and I do hope we have the fortitude to bring ourselves and bail ourselves out of this mess as a people. My lovely audience all across the world, don't go anywhere and do stay tuned, because we have a very lovely political segment coming up for you on The Weekend Show.